Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Year in Early Childhood Development series here on the Serenity Resource Connector. I'm your host, Winsome Sherrill Witter, and we are going to have another engaging discussion with Team ECC this evening. Welcome, 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 Anne Marie Golden McGregor. Thank you so much for tuning in as always. It's great to have you. And remember, you can share your comments. Let us know that you're on. Latoya Smith, welcome. Great evening to you. Thank you so much for joining. So, we're going to be talking about back to school preparation, protocols, and transition. Can you believe it? It's time for back to school. And so we're going to have sharing with us a development officer from the Early Childhood Commission, principal, chairman, sharing their different views as to what goes into the preparation. Why is the preparation really important? All right, great evening, Brandy, Anne Marie, Karen, great to have you. So great to have you. Thank you, Anne Marie. All right, so let me bring on our guests and I do the introductions while they are on screen. So we have with us here Mr. David Foster, the Development Officer for the Early Childhood Commission, and he's been there for over 12 years, working in Trelawney, that's Region 3, educated at Sam Sharp Teachers College, Northern Caribbean University, University of Leicester, and University of Technology. And prior to working in early childhood, David Foster taught at the primary level, both locally and internationally. So he has a mix of experiences, right? And he's also a member of the Rotary Club of Falmouth. Welcome, Sir Foster. Thank you for joining us here in the Serenity Resource Connector space.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right, we move over to Mr. Wigan Gordon, currently serving on the board of the as chairman for Walkers with Basic School in Region 3 in St. Anne. Married, proud father of three. He's a Christian, business owner, and a farmer, and he's also very active in his community, vice chairman of the community council. Welcome, Sir Gordon. Great to have you here.
Nice to have you. Thank you.
That's all right. Just
I'm
relax.
pleased
We're
to be
just going to
here.
have a
Just
discussion.
pleased to be here.
Awesome. All right. All right. And rounding out our guests for this episode, we have Claudette Card Canagan. Beautiful Mrs. Canagan is currently serving in the capacity of principal, owner, administrator, and teacher at the Hollywood Basic School with over 12 years in that capacity. She has a wealth of experience in leadership. She's a mother, a wife who enjoys working with children and their families, a firm believer of God, and is active in her community. I love that. Community advocates in this space. Her personal philosophy: learning is a continuing process. So keep learning, keep challenging yourself, set goals, love people, trust in Jehovah, and you will succeed. Her goal is not only to give young children a solid foundation, but to instill good values in her students so that they can help to create a better community and a better community and a better society, safer too, if we have all of that in place. She holds a Bachelor in Management Studies and Masters in Teacher Education from the University of the West Indies with distinction. Lady Canigan, welcome to the Serenity Resource Connector.
Pleasant good night. Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here.
Awesome. All right. So we are going to get the discussion rolling because we have quite a bit to share this evening as we get our practitioners, our parents prepared because we have the little ones who are just about to enter the basic schools, the early childhood institutions, and then there are those who are already a part of the system and making the transition to a bigger grade or class, as you call it there. So we want to share how you're doing your bit in their neck of the woods. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome to you all. Thank you for joining. I see the names. If you can indicate which institution you're representing, that would be awesome. Where you're connecting from, that would be really great. So let's get started. Mrs. Canigan, we know that preparation, they said, is there's wisdom in preparation, right? But how important really is preparation for back to school each year for the stakeholders in the early childhood development system? Lady Canigan, that's
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. I'm sorry, I had a little break in my internet. All right, firstly, when we use the word, when we're talking about stakeholders, we're talking about people who are at the center of our education system. So we speak about the home, the school, and the community. Everyone need to work together in order to ensure that the child is transitioned properly and settled properly in school. And so all the parties concerned need to ensure that this smooth transition takes place in order for the school to continue to meet the requirements, the required standards. And so it is important that as stakeholders, we are all prepared for this entry of the students into school.
well said. Well said. So important. And I'm going to pose the same question to you, Sir Foster, from where you sit as development officer. How important is preparation?
For us, when we think about the being prepared for back to school, we look at it from more than one angles. So we are looking at it from the angle of ensuring that the child is properly transitioned, the child is well settled, the child is able to move into the new school year with as little interruptions as possible. So we want to ensure that we have our environment properly prepared so that when the child comes in, everything is going to be there in place. So we want to make sure that our learning environment is already properly developed. So we want our learning centers to be in place. We want our classroom to be properly prepared. We want to ensure that if there are repairs to be done to the school, that all of those things are done before the child comes into the school. We want to ensure that the orientation process takes place and that all those documentations that are supposed to be in place, those critical documents that are supposed to be on the children's files, that all of those things are done and that they are in place. We want to ensure that staffing, if the school needs staffing, that the staffing is already in place, that the necessary steps are taken to ensure that staffing is in place. So we want to ensure that everything is in place. It is critical because if not, then what we are going to end up with and when we start school is basically a chaotic situation where persons are going to be running around not knowing exactly how they are going to fill the gaps. So it is critical that all of those things, that all the stakeholders, both the parents in the home, that they provide all the necessary documentations, that they prepare the child properly, make sure that everything is in place, that the school, that they do everything that is necessary to ensure that the environment is ready for the child, and also that our management committee, that they carry out their roles to ensure that staffing and all those things are in place, so that when school begins at the beginning of the year, then we have no issues. So that is why it is so critical to have all of those things in place.
Indeed, because there are so many things to be done. I have a back to school checklist that I have to be working to make sure I cover all the areas. So I can't begin to imagine from your perspective what you have to be doing. Right, but well said. And we're going to continue in that vein. We're talking about protocols and transitions. How important is this for young children, their parents, and practitioners? Sir Foster, you're going to go first, and then Lady Canigan, I'm going to ask you to weigh in on that as well. The importance of protocols and transitions for young children, their parents, and practitioners. So
So
first,
let us begin. Let us begin first by looking at the protocols. Because when we talk about the protocols, we are talking about those rules and guidelines that we have in place to ensure that our institutions operate according to the regulations. So why is it critical? We are going to look at it now from the first perspective of the protocols that must be in place, that must be dealt with. So we want to look at one, those policies. Critically, we don't just start our process at the beginning of the school year. We actually start our process from earlier on, where we have our workshop with our parents, where we talk about the orientation process. Because this is where a lot of those protocols are going to be dealt with. A lot of those rules and guidelines are going to be dealt with through the orientation process. And this is a requirement based on our standards. So when we have our orientation, what we are expecting to happen there, one, we're expecting that the parents are going to be, the institution will be discussing those legal policies. So we talk about maybe our corporal punishment policy or physical restraint, parental involvement, and other policies. And those policies will be discussed at that meeting. And the parents, the parents, or our guardians, the stakeholders will then sign on to those policies at that particular meeting. We're also expecting that at that meeting that the plans, whether it is the health sanitation plan, disaster plan, nutrition plan, the fire plan, all those plans will be discussed with the parents at those meetings, and whatsoever is to be signed there, we're expecting that those would be signed. We're expecting that at that meeting also that you are going to be discussing with the parents, possibly the your special dietary needs requirement, your authorization for pickup, your special medical emergency, parents signing up a medical emergency. All of those documents would be discussed at that meeting. Along with your other protocols, you may be discussing your dress code, you may be discussing your admissions protocol, you may be discussing your school payment. All of those things would be discussed at that meeting, and an understanding would be arrived at there. And parents would then sign off on those protocols at that meeting. And so they will have a clear understanding as to what are the expectations and what should be. So that now would make it easier for me as a development officer and for all of us as development officers, so that when we go into the schools in September and we are now carrying out our observation in terms of ensuring that the schools meet the standards. Because remember, everything that we are doing, although we are doing it for the betterment of the children, but we are doing it based on the requirement of our standards. And so when we go and we start to look at what they have in place, then we should have less hassle. We should have less problem, because if all of these things are done prior to the opening of the school, those that can be done are done prior to the opening of the school, then when we walk into the school and we start to check, then we will have much less hassle, and you'll find that the school's performance would increase exponentially. So that's what we mean. We talk about the ensuring that all those protocols are in place, the importance of those protocols at that early stage. We talk about transition. Now, transition now has to do with the moving from one place to another, getting persons settled in. So children at this early age, basically, they thrive on continuity and on a structured process. So what we want to do is the transition is not just for the child, but we want to ensure that the parents also are comfortable with the change that is taking place. The transition means changing. So we want the parents to be comfortable. So the parents will get a chance to come into the school. If it's a new parent, you get to come to the school. You get a chance to observe the environment. You get a chance to meet the staff. You get a chance to walk around and see the different things that you have at the school. And so you become comfortable. The child get a chance to see the school, get a chance to become familiar with the school, get a chance to become familiar with the teacher, so that when they finally come in, then it's not a strange environment. And the teacher also gets a chance to meet the parents, meet the child, and develop a sort of comfort level. When we also talk about transition, it doesn't just end when we have our orientation. What we also want is for the parents to actually help us with that process of transition. So, for example, on the first day of school, when the child comes in, a new child, we don't want you to just come in, drop the child, and just move off. What we would love is for you to help to transition the child, especially a child who is just coming to school for the first time, to help to transition the child from your environment to the other environment. Be there for a little while, comfort the child, reassure the child that okay, you are going to be at school with Auntie Pam today, but we are going to be coming back for you at 2 o'clock. And you reassure the child. Of course, on that first day, the child might still cry, but gradually, as you continue to work with this process, the child becomes comfortable and understand that this is a safe environment and that when you leave, you are not leaving permanently, but you are leaving for a period and that you are going to be back. So it's critical that we have those things in place to help the child, parent, to transition smoothly, either from one school to the other or from one classroom to the other. So that when we start September, then we find that things will operate much smoother.
Oh, well said. So many things to cover, right? But as the practitioner, Lady Canigan, share with us from the practitioner's perspective the importance of this and transition.
So I will speak to the registration process. One of the first things that we normally do is look at the capacity of the school. How many children can the school hold? The national standard states that the ratio should be 10 children to one teacher and 20 square foot of space per child. Now, this helps to guide the registration process to prevent any form of disruption. Now, having determined the capacity of the school, we proceed with the registration of new students. Now, at this time, we share pertinent documents with the parents and collect relevant information from them. We have a one-to-one consultation session with the parents and use our admission form to capture important details about the child. For example, we capture the emergency contact information. So, for example, if something should be wrong with a child and we're unable to reach their parent, this information would be available. We would have like two emergency contact persons on file we could try to use to contact the parents. In addition, we also have our medical form. Now, the medical form provides vital information about the child's health history. And so, if a child has a medical emergency, the file will be taken to the doctor with the child, and the doctor would have the opportunity now to consult this file to get relevant information about the child's health. We also have like the child's collection details. Who would collect that child each day from school? Now, this ensures that the child is safe when the child is at school and the child is leaving school. We also collect information on the child's dietary needs and allergies, so we can care for this child in a safe manner. We also introduce the parents, of course, in the registration process to our corporal punishment policy, or physical restraint policy, or accident injury policy, or parental involvement policy, and of course, as mentioned before, our school rules and regulations. So these processes are taken care of during the registration process.
Wow. I told you there's so much that goes into the preparation, and I like the way you outlined all of that. And I'm trusting that the practitioners, the parents are having a better appreciation as to why some of these things are necessary. So it's not just that you want to bother them with all of these different things to be done, but there's a reason for everything that takes place. All right. So we're seeing region 2, 3, 5, and 7 representing in the comments. Where are the other regions? If you are here from region 6, 4, not seeing you, say something. Region 3 is really out supporting. All right. Amazing. Great, great. I have a little one that's actually transitioning to basic school. And she was so excited to go to summer school. And for the first, in all the years that I've seen the little ones going into school, she's the only one. She went there and she just waved bye to mommy and gone to auntie. I hope it would be that easy for the other parents, but We'll see what happens. She's all excited about getting into her uniform for school September. And well said, Principal. All right. Anthony Wilson cheering you on there. All right. Amazing. So we're talking about protocols and transitions. It's back to school time and we are in preparation mode. All right. So we're going to move into the roles now in the back to school preparation process. And we are going to hear from the chairman first, since we haven't heard him since we started the discussion. So, Sir Gordon, you're going to share with us your role as chairman in this whole back to school preparation process.
Good night to everyone that is listening. And it's a pleasure being here. And our role is, I won't take all the praise for myself. I work with a team. And me and my team, we sit together, discuss, meet with the principal of the school or the teachers, ensure that we have all teachers on board on how much student we're expecting for the new school year, ensure that all the chairs, the desks and chairs, everything is in place, fencing of the compound, the building is in proper structure so that the student, when they come back to school, they're in a safe environment. And as now we're in the pandemic age, we have to ensure that sanitization, bathroom, proper facilities are there for a safe environment for the students, such as the isolation rooms and all of that are in place for the new school year, so that when a parent send their child to that school, they feel comfortable that they know that their child is in good hands. So, and make sure all preparation are done beforehand, and when it comes September, the new school year coming, everybody know what their responsibilities are, and so nobody is left out, and we have a smooth running of school.
All right. Seems like your board has the I's dotted and the T's crossed. So I can imagine you have a number of meetings that you're having now as it back to school draws closer.
Yes, we just had one today.
Look at that. All right. So our board members, do you go in like the first week to see what's happening or anything of that sort?
Yes, we always have a representative at the first day of school and orientation, so that if I can't go, somebody else would have fill in for me. So we communicate with each other so that there's a representative there, so that standards and everything is kept.
Love that. Love
And
that.
the teacher gets support, knowing that they have somebody there with them.
Indeed. Teamwork makes the dream work, and now more than ever, we need that emotional support. All right. So let's hear from Lady Canigan. Your role.
Yes, so of course we would have the orientation session with the parents. So we have our meeting with the parents. Here the parents get the opportunity to interact with the class teachers to learn more about the requirements of the school and the expectations of the teachers, and to make the transition process a little easier. At this time, of course, as was mentioned earlier, we would share the plans and policies and they would get the opportunities to sign off on them. We also would collect outstanding documents for the children's file. So the new students that are coming in, some of them might have outstanding documents like medical. So we would collect those information from the parents. And we'll also provide the parents with a schedule of the activities for the year through our calendar of events. We also meet with our staff to ensure that necessary documents are updated. So we discuss with them the plans for the new year, and we look at areas for improvement, and documents like the food handler's permit, the police record, their medical, their CPR training. We ensure these documents are up to date on the file. We also ensure that the institution records, the canteen license, the fire certificate, the servicing of the fire extinguishers are done. All of these need to be in place. And we also, as a principal, will collaborate with the school board concerning the budget for the new year and ensure that areas that needs to be addressed, such as maybe the physical structure or maybe furniture in the classroom, these areas that needs to be addressed, we'll ensure that these matters are put forward to the board so that the board can address them accordingly.
All right. Quite a bit there again, and a lot of meetings, a lot of collaboration to ensure that everything is in place ahead of the school year. But as it relates to consultations, with parent and child, because I mean, each child is unique, and especially for those just coming in, what does that look like, the consultation process, to make sure that you have a good understanding as to where the child is at, and even for those who have been in the system and there might be some areas that needs improvement, how do you deal with that ahead of the new year?
So the registration process would give us the opportunity to talk to the parents about their child. So we have a one-to-one consultation session with the parents. So the parents can give us information relevant to that child, maybe even concerning their behavior. Sometimes these kids might be hyperactive, and so talking to that parent at that moment in the the registration process, you get a little feedback about the child, you document that information, and that could be passed on to the teacher, who use this as a basis to start learning to understand that child. At the orientation process now, we meet with the new parents there. They get the chance to meet with the teachers, and that one-to-one interaction now, helps to build a relationship between the parents and the teacher gets to learn about that child.
So important, because we often write them off as being rude when there are some underlying challenges that if we just spend some time to have that conversation, we'll be able to identify and address in the most appropriate manner. All right. Thank you, Brandy. Brandy sharing that the discussion is cementing the significant role you all play. That's the development officer, chairman, principal, practitioner, parents in transition and preparing for back to school. So much plans are put in place for our children, and each is equally important. Indeed. Thank you for that, Brandy. All right. And even as we are sharing, we're going to have Mr. Foster sharing about his role in a little while. But if you have questions as practitioners, parents, feel free to ask so that we can get you some responses so you are well on your way and ready and not rushing at the end of the August to get things done, because by next week is supposed to be smooth sailing. All right. Sir Foster, go ahead and share your role in the process.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, our role would begin even before the end of the school year. Our role would begin where we would be having that discussion with our administrators about ensuring that they have their orientation meeting and what should be happening there. But further on, we are responsible now for coordinating the learning environment activity. So we go and we work with our schools on a one-on-one basis to ensure that the learning environment is prepared and that things are in place to ensure that the child comes into an environment that is conducive to that child's learning. So we help them with their learning centers if necessary. We guide them and we tell them what is appropriate in terms of ensuring that the learning environment is prepared. We also help with staff recruitment, and in this case, there are some schools where we actually place what we call temporary trained teachers. These are trained teachers who are placed in schools to assist the schools in meeting the necessary standards. So we have some schools, so we assist with that. We actually recruit those teachers. We actually try to place those teachers in these institutions before we try to do it before the school begins, so that those teachers are in place to help to lift the standard out of those schools. We actually also work with our brain builders in terms of helping them to recruit staff and have staff placed in the brain builders to ensure that we have qualified and competent persons there who can actually provide the stimulation that our children need. We actually, as is going to be happening in a short while, at the beginning of each school year, the Early Childhood Commission would have a training session, a meeting with principals and board chairmen in order to remind them of the protocols to be observed and actually to guide them as to some of the things that they are supposed to be doing to ensure that the institutions are operated according to the relevant standards. Of course, we normally have and we try to ensure that trainings are done. For example, we try to arrange training, whether it is first aid training, it is the public health training, the corporal punishment, those type of trainings. We try to ensure that those trainings are done during the holidays to, as much as possible, make sure that when the teachers get back to school in September, they have those documents in place. And so those are some of the things that we would normally do to help to coordinate the activities. And of course, as we say, we guide them in ensuring that the protocols are in place. We will help them if they need to have their development plans done. We will work with some of the schools to ensure that development plans are done based on their inspection report. We will have to sit with some of the schools to help them to put their policies together. That is the corporal punishment, physical restraint, health and sanitation, and those policies. And we will work with them also to ensure that they have their plans, those legal plans in place, so that when they get back to school in September, then they have all of those things ready and waiting to go.
Awesome. All right. And it's a good point to respond to Anne Marie Porter. She's saying that school policies can also be discussed during orientation. Is that something that is practiced?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier on, one of the things that would normally be done when we have the orientation is the discussion of those policies and actually having the parents sign off on those policies during the orientation. So the parents who attend the orientation, we try to get most of the parents there. You discuss the policies with them, and then you ensure that, because those policies have to be signed by the parent. Every child's parent must sign the policy. The policy must be signed by the parent of all the children there. So we try to ensure that all the parents are in attendance. We have that discussion. We would have it on the agenda for your orientation. You would have that discussion, and then after you have that discussion with the parents, then you can then have the parents sign that the policy was discussed with them and that they understand the ramifications of the policy. So that would then be done at the orientation. And as I say, we could also use the orientation as well to discuss the relevant plans, the fire safety, the disaster, the nutrition, the health and sanitation, and all those things. So all of those things would come out within the orientation so that the parents would have a clear idea at the orientation as to exactly what are the expectations for them, for the school, and for the other stakeholders.
Very important. And you mentioned in terms of the learning environment, and it is so practical that we had learning environment month discussion in July. And just to make the connection that we had a month of learning environment activities where you're helping with the preparation, which is why you mentioned that the preparation actually started long before. So now you're making the having those meetings now to finalize and see where each institution is at. All right.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. So Lady Canigan, where are you in terms of preparation, your institution?
Well, we are well on our way. Currently, we are finalized our registration right now. So we are all prepared and geared up to meet with our parents on the 31st of August, I'm sorry. And of course, before we do that, we have to prepare our classroom. So prior to that, the teachers and we get together and start prepare the learning environment for school. So, we're currently fixing up right now, painting and all those little, finishing up. We're doing that right now. So preparation is well on the way. And of course, we are preparing other important documents that we have to collaborate, of course, with the board in order to get things, in motion.
Great. Yes, I can just imagine when they see the teachers putting together all those nice crafts, the paper craft, and all of those things, and the children coming all excited to see all the different colors, the different shapes. I need to revisit. Some of us as adults really need to revisit the early childhood institution. You can't help but go back to that place where we were just pure and the mind was just, yes. Sir Gordon, how about your institution, Workerswood? Where are you? How are things going there? You're muted.
Well, as I said earlier, that we had a meeting today, and out of that meeting, we're planning a work day for next week to finalize some of the preparation with some painting and fix a part of the roof. But as I don't know about the other institutions, but I think they have the same challenges, financial challenges to offset the different expenses and different responsibility roles that we have to play at the school and stuff to get everything in order for so we have to be seeking sponsors and stuff like that. And
Right.
everybody have a challenging time now to ask them for things. They have challenge in their business, private business too. So we have to be careful we have to be strategizing some ways that how we can have a good ending to all of these challenges that we are facing. So it just putting minds together to just to see how best we can work it out. So we are arranging a work day. So we are asking some volunteers to come on board to assist us in offsetting the cost for to hire persons to do a lot of these jobs would cost us a lot with what the school don't have at this time. So that
Indeed.
is where we are.
Right. The community groups that are always looking out for projects. This is probably a good area to focus on in terms of helping, especially the early childhood institution, to get ready for back to
Yeah.
school. Now that we're having this discussion and you're getting a better understanding and appreciation as to the preparation that goes in, let's see how best we can support the different institutions in our communities to ensure that we have a safe learning environment for our children. All right. Thank you. Let's hear. Brandy, well said, Principal. A lot of work to get things up and ready. I love how Sir Gordon is strategizing the meet and needs of his school and students. All right. Indeed. All right, great. It's important to share these things so we all understand because we usually just figure that, oh, school just closed and then you just reopen and it's just business as usual. But the period that school has been closed, there are some things that could go wrong that we need to make sure that they are fixed ahead of. Jacqueline Coward is saying no money to start any preparation. Where is that, Jacqueline? Which region are you? Indicate which region you are. You never know who might be watching this and reading the comments, right? All right, great. So let's move into sharing now some specific experiences as it relates to the benefits. Because they've done all of this preparation and people are wondering why is this much ado about nothing? Why are we going through all of this? What are the benefits to students, parents, practitioners? Lady Canigan.
Well, I must say that when we go through all of this preparation, it reflects well on the school. It allows for a smooth reopening of the school. So when the parents come, they won't be fumbling on September morning, the first day of school, to find out which class their child should be going to, because that information would have already been discussed at the orientation session, right? They would know who is their class teacher And it's easier for them to say to that child, this is your class, mommy will be coming back a little later for you, or daddy will be coming back a little later for you. The parent will feel comfortable leaving that child with teacher. The child would feel comfortable leaving, staying at school because they know what is going to happen afterwards. I mean, it's not going to be an easy process, but at least it's a start. The parents will also know their role when it comes down to provide the necessary documents. So they will know why it is important for them to submit their medical form, their photograph, their immunization records. They know why it would be important to submit these documents and not wait until school begin where they're trying to look for these things or the school is calling them to find out what happened to the medical, what happened to the photograph. So the parents would know why it's important to provide these documents, necessary documents for the school. And of course, the kids would be mentally prepared for school. So they wouldn't be waiting until the first day of school to say, put on your bag and let's go to school. The child would be putting on their bags from now, dressing up in their uniform so they would be ready for school. So documents in place, repairs done on the school. We won't be waiting until school open. We see a pipe leaking and we're trying to fix it at that time. That would be in place. So, and pertinent documents will be there too. So when the inspector comes to the school, we don't know if the inspector is going to show up on maybe the first month. When the inspector comes, we're not worrying about our legal documents like our plans and policies to find out whether they are ready. So those would be in place and we would be searching for them to see if they're on the children's file. If the parents have signed off on necessary plans like the plans and policies, like the parental involvement policy, we'll be searching to see if that is on the file because we had our meeting with our parents and that information is on the file. So it will reflect well on the school. And as a teacher and my teachers, they themselves too, they'll feel comfortable. They'll welcome the inspector because, or anybody visiting the school, the development officers, because they know that they themselves are prepared and the parents are prepared. We'll all be happy.
Awesome. That is so important. Just making sure, yeah, because it always feels good to look good. So making sure that you have gone through the necessary processes to um, secure your relevant documentation. And all I'm hearing here is that each of these institutions needs to have a very vigilant administrator to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So, and I know that the ECC team has been doing an awesome job in terms of providing guidance and the different seminars to improve on the administrative skills, the leadership skills. I know a lot went in earlier this year in terms of those preparations. And so we know that we're in good stead where that is concerned. But as it relates to the support, Anne Marie Golding McLagan has a suggestion here that the schools could collaborate with the community to establish a foundation where they basically adopt the school, which can help with the development of the physical plant. As I said, a lot of these community groups, they're always doing projects, but we need to ensure that they're properly guided as to what other areas, instead of just the provision of the books and the pencils, how they can be a part of that. Sir God mentioned in terms of the support with the physical work. So if it is that they can volunteer their time to come in and help with the painting, those kind of initiatives, right? I love this. Let's spread some roses. A really excellent panel. Those of us not serving in these positions are truly earning. Well done, panelists. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Awesome. So we continue still looking at benefits, sharing some specific experiences. Sir Gordon, what are the benefits for your students, parents, and practitioners in preparing for back to school, in being prepared for back to school?
Oh, a smooth running of the institution. For when it comes on to reopening of school, you have people running from here to there, don't know their responsibility and their roles. So it is everybody has know the role before because we actually have all the preparation in place. You might still have some glitches, but it would have um, measures in place just in case we have any glitches or anything. For you have persons who want to turn up on September morning to register student when registration was gone long time ago, and the cost problem in at the institution at times. For you have persons sit with the child at the house for all the summer and is on the morning of school, they turn up. So we have to have some plans in place so that if that happened, we have a specific person who would deal with all of that, and that won't interrupt the regular running of school. So that's why we need a member of the board and at the institution so that we can make a necessary adjustment if we need to.
Very valid point there, because I've had the experience of serving on a school board, well, on the PTA. No, I didn't assume that one for the board, on the PTA. And I know the parents usually have all these different concerns and so on. So, what I'm hearing here is that there are indeed protocols to follow. And if we follow the protocols, it will assist in that smooth transition and the communication, to keep the lines of communication flowing from your development officer to your school administrator to the board and to the practitioners, the parents. So if we have those conversations upfront, it makes it easier for the transition. So if there are hiccups, as Sir Gordon said, then we're able to easily sort it out because we would know, all of us would be on the same page as to what is happening. And things do go wrong unexpectedly, and we can work together in getting it fixed. All right, great sharing. All right, Sir Foster, benefits.
All right, so let us take it from the student's perspective first, and I'll give you a simple example here. Apart as we spoke earlier on about the importance of them transitioning, but let us look at preparing the learning environment, ensuring that we have our materials in place. So the child comes to school in the morning, and when they come in early in the morning, you have your learning centers. Your centers are well prepared and in place. The child can then move straight to the center and can find activities, something there that they can actually interact with. And they immediately begin to develop a level of comfort right there because the classroom environment is prepared for them. You are not running around and they are not wondering, what should I do? But you already have a prepared environment for them. It also ensures that their needs, when you prepare before they come to school, it also ensures that their needs, individual needs, are already catered to because you already know what are the needs of particular student. So, for example, you know who would have an allergy, you know who their dietary needs, you know who should be served what and who should not be served what. So you have all of those in place so you can cater to the children's need on an individual level when they come to you because you have an idea as to exactly what are their requirements. For the parent, as I say, it provides a level of comfort for them because they know that their child will be coming into an environment that is ready for them, an environment that is prepared for them. They are comfortable with their teacher. They know who the teacher is. They are comfortable with the teacher. They are comfortable with the school environment. The parents would have already been told about the necessary documentation that they should have in place, so they would have ensure that they have those things in place. So later on, when the school is being inspected or when we go there, the principal would not have to be calling them to say, okay, listen, you did not submit this, you did not submit that, you need to bring in this, you need to bring in that. And maybe at the time, it may not be so convenient for them when it is needed. So they would be able to get all of those things out of the way and feel comfortable. For the practitioner, when the practitioner is prepared, then there's less stress. You start school feeling comfortable. You don't feel agitated because you would have done all the necessary things that you would need to do. You'd have had your meeting prior to start, so you know what are the themes and the sub themes that you are going to be dealing with. You would have started putting your plans in place. You'd have started putting your materials in place. So when you get to school, you are ready and you are comfortable and you are ready to go. So there's huge benefit to be derived for all of these stakeholders once we are prepared for back to school, and everybody will actually reap the benefit.
That's it. Together, each achieve more. That's the power of teamwork, getting it done together. Right. So, I'm going to ask you, Sir Foster, to share, just off the top of your head, a practical checklist for parent who might be struggling to say, boy, I don't even know where to start. It's like, what, 2 weeks for back to school, and I don't know where to start.
In terms of getting their child prepared for
Right,
school.
right.
All right. So first and foremost, we look at the child. Is this a child who is this a returning child or is this a new child? So let us look at a child, a parent with a 3-year-old. This child will be coming to school for the first time. And so therefore there are certain documents that would not be at the school for the child. So you have to ensure that, okay, before I am going to be going to the school now to start to register, to go and do the registration. So I find out first of all, what are the things that I'm going to be needing? So I know I'm going to need a medical. I ensure that I get the medical. I know I'm going to need to have the immunization because the child cannot be registered at the school without the immunization. I know I'm going to need that. I know I'm going to need the birth certificate. I know there are certain documents that I'm going to need. I know I'm going to need the photograph. A very important thing that many parents don't take into consideration is to think about who am I going to designate to come and pick up my child at the end of the day, because those names will have to be submitted. And once you have submitted those persons' names as the persons who are designated to pick up the child, you cannot willy-nilly decide that, okay, today these persons can pick up the child. So you know what? I'm going to call John down the road and tell him to, oh, go up to school and go pick up my child for me. No, it doesn't work like that. So you have those names that are designated and you have it on the authorization to pick up. So you have to think about who is going to be picking up the child. So you have all of those things in place. So what you need to do is to, one, you ask the school for a checklist. Before you start, you ask the school, okay, provide me with a checklist of the documents that I am going to need in order to have my child registered in school. And you go about getting those documents. You make sure you start working on them from early, so you have those documents in place. Importantly, you ensure, after you have all of those things in place, you ensure that you attend the orientation. Ensure that you attend the orientation. This is crucial because what happens is that sometimes persons don't attend the orientation, and when they go to September morning, everybody turn up at the school. Nobody knows exactly what they are supposed to be doing, what they should not be doing, because these things would have been discussed at the orientation. The teachers are very busy because I can tell you September morning when those 3-year-olds are coming, and even some of those 4-year-olds, those teachers are really busy trying to comfort the crying ones, because that not yet separation anxiety is kicking in, because many of them, they have never left home before. This is the first time they are leaving home. This is the first time they are separating from mommy. So teachers are busy trying to deal with these children and to comfort them, and to be dealing with these new parents coming in now saying that, okay, I want to register my child now and I need this and this, that. It really places a lot of stress on the administrator. So we want you to get your checklist, acquire all your necessary documentation, ensure that you attend the orientation, be aware of what are your requirements, sign all the relevant documents, and then you come and support the school and the teachers to ensure a smooth transition when your child starts school.
Wow. Right. Very helpful. Very helpful. So I trust that you all have been taking notes, but just in case you didn't have your pen and paper, the recording should be there on the YouTube channel. So if you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and do so. There is a whole uh, bunch of other programs that you might have missed with some really key guidelines as well. So you want to check those out. All right. Really rich sharing, Sir Gordon, Sir Foster, Lady Canigan, And the chat, all the comments in the chat, they're really proud of you, Lady Canigan, Lady Gordon, Foster, the way you've been representing. And I love what I'm seeing and hearing. It sounds like early childhood education is on the up and up. And I know Team ECC is really rearing to even get it even at a higher standard, right? Hashtag 12 standards matter, right? And Brandy was sharing earlier that she was able to pick up the connection with the different standards. So that is really great. Yes, Brandy, well done indeed. The team Region 3. Love this support because Region 3 has been representing in the comments. So you all got everyone out, the whole community from Hollywood, Walkerswood, and all the different areas are out to support. And that is really great. It means that you are indeed doing a great job in your neck of the woods. So continue to do that. And it's interesting, we have Walkerswood and Hollywood, right? Keep doing good in your neck of the woods. Right. All right. Important facts, Mr. Foster. Indeed. And for those who are able to join us live, I want to thank you for weighing in. Thank you for connecting. And I trust that you'll share the information so more parents, practitioners, and board representatives are made aware as to what exactly is happening, what the other institutions are doing, and how they can learn from these different practices. Final thoughts, 1 minute final thoughts, Sir Gordon, and then we move to Lady Canigan and Sir Foster. You're gonna wrap up.
I I want to thank I want to thank all my team members of my team and the school board, the school board, and also the teachers at my school. And I think we are in preparation mode, and we will be off to a good start come September.
All right. Awesome. Go ahead, Lady Canigan. Share your thoughts.
And I second that. I want to express my thanks to my board members and my teachers who are always there supporting us along the way. And I also want to express my thanks to my development officer and my development officer supervisor. You know, they're always there supporting us along the way, and hence we are right now. So, and of course, I want to thank my fellow colleagues. Just by collaborating, we're able to achieve together. So, I'm very happy for this opportunity. You know, I'm sure we all benefited, and I benefited greatly from this experience.
Awesome. Really great. Really great. Sir Foster.
Yes, I'd like to first of all just commend Mr. Gordon and Miss Canigan for a fantastic job, both in their schools. And I just want to say that our objective at ECC is to ensure that we lift all our schools. What we would really want to do is to take all our schools to certification. And this program, I'm hoping, coming out of it, we will see it redound to our benefit. And if we carry through all of these things that we have discussed here, when we come out in September, I can tell you when you are inspected, your scores will be moving up because you would have covered a lot of the ground that we would have been looking for in our 12 standards. So I commend you for this also, and I'm hoping that it will reap great rewards for us and for early childhood in general.
And I am quite sure with the energy that's been coming across and the sharing as to what is taking place, the camaraderie, I'm sure only greater things are on the horizon. All right. So your job should get easier, Sir Foster.
And I'm hoping it will.
We are declaring it. All right. Thank you all for sharing space with me here on the Serenity Resource Connector. We talked about back to school preparation protocols and the transitions, right? Sir Wigan Gordon, Chairman Workers with Basic School, Claudette Card Canigan, Principal Hollywood Basic School, Sir David Foster, Development Officer, Early Childhood Commission over there in Region 3. Yes, Anne Marie, Region 3 really supported tonight. It is a good look for early childhood. Awesome. That's where I started almost 30 years ago, and I really love what I'm hearing. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Amazing. And we are on the 1 hour mark, and we did not leave out anything that we intended to share. So, just in case there's anything else that you wanted to hear that you didn't hear here, be sure to connect with your resource persons, your principals, chairman, or the development officer, wherever you fall in the stakeholder ladder, so that you can get the guidance that you need so that we can all be in a space where our children are well nurtured and so we can have a brighter tomorrow. Thank you all so much again. Thank you, Brandy. Great job indeed. Great job. All right. Take care until next time. The schedule of activities will be coming up next, so look out for that. Next week is going to be fourth Thursday, so we're going to be having conversation with the Clarendon Municipal Corporation, and we're going to be focusing on a very important area, disaster preparedness. So you want to set your reminders so you can join us then. So stay tuned, and we will do this again same time next week with the team from the Municipal Corporation. God bless you.